Today we're going to go over a class. This class is going to be the most effective submissions in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. In competition statistics, the highest percentage submission with the gi is choke from the back. And then after that is armbar and heel hooks. And then in no gi, the highest percentage submission is the rear naked choke from the back. Heel hooks is like the second or third most effective submission. And then with gi and with no gi, the armbar is, in my opinion, the most versatile submission because it can be hit from the mount, from the back, from the knee on belly, from the guard, half guard. So I think if you understand the mechanics and the finishing principles of the armbar, it's extremely versatile. And you can start seeing that in a lot of positions. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, choke from the back. This is my favorite submission. Leo, can I borrow you for a second? Just a very, very basic choke from the back is if you take someone's back, and this is not a very common situation where we're both sitting like this, but just so you can get an idea, you're going to open the collar and feed the collar to your hand. Okay, this is necessary 99% of the times, where you open the collar, take out the slack, and get this hand as deep as you can. Okay, if this hand is not deep enough, it's probably not worth it to try to finish it. The first fight in this submission is getting this collar very deep towards the ear. And once you get there, now it's time to finish. I pull them to this side so I can get my weight behind it. And then I start to extend my arms and lean back to get the finish. Okay, let's say we're passing the guard. Okay, this like I was saying, this collar choke is it's versatile because you can there's a lot of different variations of a collar choke. Okay, but they all have the same thing in common, which is one hand deep in the collar, and then how we position our body can vary in order to put the weight on the choke. So for one example is if I'm passing the guard, it's very common that people will start to turn away, and as they turn away, I'm already taking this hand and opening the collar, taking out the slack, and feeding it to my other hand, okay? In fact, I can finish right here, put the knee on the belly, hand behind the head, and finish with this variation of the collar choke, okay? Now, if I cannot prevent his roll and he rolls to his knees, and he goes here in a turtle, I can then move into a variation of the collar choke known as the clock choke. So I sit through, I use my weight behind their head and I sink my body down and finish the choke. All right, you have the bow and arrow choke where you grab the pants, you create this angle, and you get the bow and arrow choke. All right, so the number one, I think, effective submission is the collar choke. So let's let Leo and Brandon practice that a little bit. So in this case, Brandon's right arm is going to be the choking arm, and his left hand is opening the collar, right? Take out all the slack, and you want to go as deep as you can with that thumb and make a nice solid grip. And then if you're going to do the very basic like Hodger Gracie style that he did a lot, was this hand goes to the far collar and you're going to lay onto your side. That's the correct side. You're going to extend your arms and lean back to get the choke. All right, and then come back. Another variation is the bow and arrow choke. So if we're in the back. Now, again, this is not that common where we're both sitting, but this is something that we can do to understand the mechanics. And then anytime you have somebody's back, whether you're facing sideways, facing down, facing up, sitting, you can apply this technique. So same variation. So your hand, this hand should be under. Your right hand should be under his arm, not over. Because this hand is important to control his armpit so he cannot rotate. If not, he's gonna rotate. Okay, so you open it, feed it deep. Now if we're gonna do the, there's no such thing as too deep on this choke, so the deeper the better, okay? You know, when you're practicing, you can be 90% deep, so you don't have to be hurting your partner too much, but deep is good. And then, no, you're gonna first take this foot off and cross your leg over his lap. And then your right hand is gonna grab his pants, and you're actually gonna lay onto your right side. And now lay to your side here. Lay on your side, that's correct, yeah. And now pass this leg over his arm. There we go. And now from here, you're gonna extend your body and pull your arm. Yes, just like that. All right, good. Okay, so if you're passing the guard, always be ready to take somebody's back when you're passing the guard. And one great way to take the back is to attack the neck first. Okay, so as you're passing, your partner starts to roll away, you grab the collar and feed it to your hand, just like that. Okay, now from here, you have a lot of different variations, but if they stop here, all you have to do is take that right hand, put it behind his head. No. Keep it under his arm and go behind his head here. I recommend with this part of your hand behind his head. Yeah, so you can really shoot it through. And then your right knee, go to like a knee on belly to prevent him from putting his back flat again. And then here, you can just extend and finish the choke. Perfect, all right? So if you don't have a gi on, so let's just pretend we don't have a gi. This choke obviously would work with the gi, but it's more prevalent, more common without the gi, is the rear naked choke, okay? The rear naked choke, just so we all know, is when I have here the back control and I reach as far as I can. My head should be higher than his head. So that's an important fight to get when you want to choke, is the rear naked choke, as my head becomes higher than his. And then I reach so that my elbow is under the chin as much as I can. Then I grab my bicep, I bring the hand behind the head, and my head is tight to theirs and squeeze. So when I squeeze, I just bring my elbows in, chest forward, shoulders back, and get the finish here. Okay? This is one of those chokes that once it's sunk in, it's game over. Okay, you see this. This is the most effective choke when it comes to no-gi competition or training. And the way I really like to do it is, ready, please, Brandon? So let's just say we don't have the gi on. Let's take the gi off. All right. If I'm in a mount position, like I said earlier, when you're passing the guard, people are going to turn to their belly. So if I am here, they try to escape, they start turning to their belly, and they keep going and they keep going, and they try to turtle up, right? So once they turtle, I have the back. I want to flatten them out. When I flatten them out, I take this arm, I pull it in, that'll drop their shoulders, and I start using my legs to kick back and flatten them out. And then from here, it's really hard for him to defend his neck because look, his left arm is under his body. And then I reach and get the choke here. This is probably my favorite way to get the rear naked choke. I like to flatten them out, and then their arms are really stuck. And because they're flat, it's hard for them to keep their chin tucked because of the ground. So they naturally will start opening up their neck, and they'll get the choke there. Okay. All right, armbar, I think is the most versatile submission because there's so many different variations, so many different ways to hit the armbar. What we need to do is have a control and then be able to bend and extend our partner's arm so that there's a force pulling the wrist back and there's a force pushing the elbow in, okay? As long as I can do that, I'll get an armbar right there, okay? So the most common way to get the armbar, or a really common way, is from the mount. So I need to get his elbows away from his ribs in one way or another. So if I can, climb my body into the armpits and move their arm across, now I can start to align my hips up with the arm. I can go into the S mount here so that I can apply weight on their chest, and then I can step over the head. And now this is probably the most powerful armbar. I have one leg over the head for control, one leg over the torso for control, and then I squeeze my knees together to create tension and pull the arm down to get the armbar. The same technique from the closed guard to where I put my whole body against one arm, right? I trail my lip so that I am aligned with the arms. I pass my leg over, and now it's the same thing. My legs are tight, I extend my body, and I pull here, okay? When I'm doing an armbar from the bottom, you have to be very careful with your hips. You have to be very active because they have gravity on their side. And then if I'm not active with my hips or I get lazy with this armbar, they can put their pressure forward and then start to make it hard for me to finish. So your hips have to be really tight and active to prevent them from using gravity on their side, okay? You could do an armbar from side control here, where I get the arm, bend it there. I can do an armbar here from Kesekatame, or step over here. I can do an armbar here where I climb my knee over his head, push back here. arm bar from knee on belly. If he pushes me with his arms, I can step over here, get the arm bar there. And then one arm bar that I like to get, actually I got it today in training with my partner, Professor Mark, is I'm passing for the knee cut, and he really wants to turn on his side because he doesn't want to get his back flat. So he kept his arm in, he turned on his side here, and so I grab the wrist and I pull back and I drop my body on the arm there. Okay, so we're gonna teach Leo how to do this arm bar where we're using gravity and our body weight to push down on, like I said earlier, when we're doing the arm bar, we're pushing into the elbow and pulling the wrist. And that's all an arm bar is, no matter how you do it. And while you're doing that, you have to have some sort of control of their body so they cannot escape. Kind of. So if I get here, look, I don't want to get my arm out here, my leg out here, because now he can move his hips. You see? If he moves his hips, it's going to be hard. He's going to have a chance to escape. But I keep my foot in between his legs, because if I keep my foot in between his legs, he's going to want to hold on to that. That for him is his lifeline. So, and as he turns on his side and he's reaching so he stays on his side, I drop my weight by dropping my hips, my foot's still there. Like that. And it comes on very quick. When I did it today in the training, my partner, tap, 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 because it comes fast, right? Boom. And actually it surprises them a lot too, because they don't see it coming. All right, try again. Okay, so they extend their arm. And this foot stays in between his legs. There you go. Okay, and then you're going to, this knee is going to come out, but you have to do this whole thing while still keeping his wrist. Okay, and drop your chest down, and pull the wrist back. Good. All right, so the secret to the S mount is the control, the pressure. It's one of those submissions that the person sees coming on the bottom, but they can't do anything about it because you are controlling them, isolating them, shutting them down, exhausting them. Okay, so here we're starting to open up space between the elbow and the torso. And right now Brandon's using his arm to first start, his arm and his body weight here to first start creating space, but he's gonna need his arms free, so he needs to climb up his knees, right? Yeah, so here you gotta climb this leg up higher. So like I wanna see, what I tell people is you take this knee, you put it on top of his head like a hat. Okay, keep going, more. And this hand will go on this side. No, on the ground. Your hand on the ground with your elbow, forearm blocking his head. So look, you're kind of like stucking his head. His head's stuck now between your leg and your arm. Okay. Now you are blocking this side really well. Now you have to block the other side. So your right leg is gonna go under his armpit, right? Nice. And now you're gonna start leaning your weight this direction, right, towards the opposite leg. That's the lean that you want to get. Two reasons why is you can start putting pressure on your friend, making it uncomfortable, making it hard for them to escape, and at the same time you're putting weight towards his right leg and his left leg becomes free. So as his left leg becomes free, he can pass it over the head and then get the arm bar here. Okay, and when you get the arm bar, see this hand here, both hands, it's okay to hug, but when I find that when you're ready to finish, both hands come to the wrist so you can manipulate their thumb when they try to escape. And I would say one hand over the other, maybe. Boom, boom. There you go. That looks good. Everything tight here and finish. Like that. The last submission that we were saying is the most effective for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the heel hook. Now there's, once again, different ways to enter into the heel hooking position, different mechanics in finishing, and there's the inside and the outside heel hook. However, we're just gonna go over the very, very basic heel hook from the inside and heel hook from the outside. And when you're practicing the heel hooks, be very careful because, like I said earlier, it's effective because the braking pressure comes on very fast. The person who's getting the technique applied to them, they might not feel pressure until it's too late. So it takes a lot of practice with drilling and sparring and using the heel hook to understand when you're in danger and when you're safe, and you can preemptively tap before it gets too tight. And so when you are also applying the pressure in the sparring, be very careful. We're not trying to go really hard to hurt our partner. We're trying to use control and give your partner an opportunity to tap. And that being said, before you're practicing these techniques, always discuss with your professor as far as like what techniques are allowed in the gym. So here at the gym, we allow blue belts and above to do heel hooks and sparring. In some of the classes, the white belts will drill it, but when it comes to the sparring, the heel hooks are blue belts and above. And that's how we do it for the no-gi classes. Your gym might be different, but I find that important so that some of the students can have a stronger focus on some of the more fundamental techniques, and then after understanding of their body and how jiu-jitsu works, they can start applying these techniques. So again, we're doing the outside heel hook here. We are in the single leg X position where the foot's on the hip. This foot is doorstopper on the outside leg, and you're pinching your knees. And this is isolating the leg. Leo's knee is inside of Brandon's knee line, and that's what you want in order to get this position here. Okay, you're gonna put the toes in the armpit, so you take your elbow, you put it back, and then you catch the heel just like that, and then you can connect your hands in one form or another. This is the most common way to connect your hands, in the gable grip. Now you see here, Brandon is doing a really good job of twisting with his upper body, but not really applying the twisting pressure with the hips to the outside. So that is the dual opposing forces that gets the submission in this case. So again, you're gonna bring the fists towards your shoulder, towards your chest, and then your hips are gonna rotate to the outside. There we go. Cool. And then now let's try the inside heel hook. Leo, let's get into the saddle. All right, perfect. So here we got the inside heel hook. We got the elbow back. Use this part of your forearm on the heel. Go up. No, this grip is not really effective. I find this one's more common. There you go. And then your knees are pinched. Your knee, this part of your knee, is gonna come towards my hand. There you go. So you got this two opposing forces. This one's going in, this one's going out. There you go, one more time. There you go. Jiu-jitsu is a lot of fun, and we want to learn everything, and that's impossible, right? And then there's a lot of positions and submissions that are fancy and that are fun to practice, and they look really good on Instagram. And I don't say I shouldn't say that we shouldn't practice those things, because a big part of jiu-jitsu is enjoyment and creativity and having fun while learning. And at the same time, if you want to be effective with your training and you want to get better faster, learn the techniques that have the highest effectivity or have the highest percentage, or that will give you the most bang for your buck. They have the most value. Like we went over today, choke from the back. This has been proven to be the most effective submission in jiu-jitsu, whether it's no gi with the rear naked choke or it's with the gi with the collar choke. These are by far the highest percentage submissions in jiu-jitsu. There are the arm bars, which are the second and third most effective or most highly used submission in competition. And for me, I believe that the arm bar is the most versatile submission in jiu-jitsu because of the amount of variations and the amount of different positions that you can hit the arm bar from. I think that surpasses any other submission. And then the heel hook, inside and outside, because of the effectiveness and the effectiveness of the submission, that if you get that submission, it is the quickest break than any other submission. The pressure comes on very quick, and the knowledge of the heel hook is not as great as a whole as a jiu-jitsu community. The jiu-jitsu community is still new and green to developing their understanding of that. So if you are in no-gi and you want to be effective in your submission game, heel hooks are definitely the way to go.